Hey guys, BlooBot here. Today I'm doing a tutorial on Tinker's Construct mod version 1.4. It's made by MDO. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right, and thank you for making an awesome mod, by the way. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the basic patterns. This is the basic what the blank pattern looks like, and this is how you craft it. 2 pieces of wood, 2 sticks will make a blank pattern. A blank pattern, imagine it like a piece of paper. You're going to use it as a stencil to make different things. Here's a stencil table where you're going to be using that. To make this, you're going to be using a blank pattern, oak wood, or any kind of wood block, and that's going to make your stencil table. And when you put a blank pattern in it, like that, nothing will be here. You click and next pattern, and you can go through every single pattern that you can possibly make with this mod. Now, once you have a bunch of these patterns and you don't really have inventory space for it, you would make a pattern chest, and this will store all your patterns and only patterns. So if you try to place anything like copper blocks, not going to work. And to craft that, you're going to be using a blank pattern with a chest, and it's going to make a pattern chest. And the next item here is a tool station. Now make a tool station. It's a blank pattern with the crafting table, and that will make your tool station. So when you right click on this, you're going to see this interface. Now to use this interface, you would click on the item that you want, and it's going to break down all the parts you would need. So you would go down to that stencil station after you've made some blank patterns, and you will find each one of these, and you will make your pattern. Today I'm going to be demonstrating making a rapier. And so I would need a sword, the sword blade pattern, so that one, crossbar pattern, which is this one, and a tool rod pattern, which is this one right here. So I've already obviously made all the stencils for that, and I already have the wood pieces for it. And the difference also too, sorry, real quick, this is the basic tool station, and this is the upgraded version. It's called the tool forge. This is how you make it: 4 iron blocks, 3 seared bricks, and a tool station is going to make a tool forge. What's the difference? This can make 19 items, whereas this one can only make 13. So if you look at the interface, I've got a full 20 items here. This first one is to modify the weapon. I will not be touching on that on this version in this tutorial. I'm just going to show you how to make the weapons, and once you get that, you'll be fine. You'll send you on your way. I think you'll do just fine. And this is the parts builder. Now, the parts builder, how you craft it would be a oak wood with a blank pattern on top will make your parts builder, and depending on what kind of wood you will use will change the legs. So if you use birch, it'll have the birch wood on the bottom. So it's kind of nice that there's variation. Now to make your different items, let's say for the tool rod, you put the pattern here and the material you want to make it out of right here. And here you go. Here's a wood rod. It looks like a stick, so make sure you mouse over and you actually look at the names, because right here is a byproduct of making this item. You get a stick out of it. So you can save that later, use it for whatever, but this is the piece that you want of wood. And you're going to notice here that the iron doesn't work. And we're going to touch that in just a second. With the basic tools, without making a forge or what I'm about to show you, this is all the items that you can craft using the basics without using iron casts or the metal casts. There's netherrack, wood, bone, flint, the green and blue variations of the slime crystals, stone, obsidian, and cactus. All of them have their pros and cons. I'm not going to go over each. You're going to get a book in the mod when you start crafting. It's going to explain this. I'm just basically showing you how this all works together. If you're like me, you have problems with this part, the smelting part. Now to make this a forge, it's not an item like a furnace. You're not going to craft a single little block. You're going to craft a huge mechanism with multiple blocks that's going to turn into the furnace. And so to start off, you're going to need to make grout. Grout is a simple recipe of sand, clay, and gravel, which will yield 2 grout. And all you do is throw that into a regular furnace, and it's going to turn into a seared brick. Now once you get a seared brick, you make 4 of them, and it's going to make a seared, it says bricks, but I'm going to call them blocks, just to save confusion. A seared block. Now these are going to be the building stones of the furnace. And this is seared glass. It acts just like seared block, except it's transparent so you can see what's going on inside your forge. To make that, you're going to need 5 pieces of glass and 4 seared bricks, and that's going to make your seared glass. The next item here is seared tank. This is going to be your fuel tank, and it holds lava. Your lava is your fuel source. It's half full. It takes 4 buckets of lava to fill this up. So right now it only has 2. To craft this, it's going to be 8 bricks and 1 piece of glass in the middle to make your seared tank. And this also acts as a piece of the forge. I'll show that to you in a second. This is a seared window. I know it's kind of, I think they should have flipped the textures, because this looks more like notches, like measuring, but this is to fill, like a tank, holding tank, basically. To craft this, you're going to have 6 seared bricks and 3 pieces of glass down the middle. It's going to make your seared window. And it can also be used to make the forge. It's a seared brick, so any seared brick basically can be used to craft the forge, which I'll be showing you in just a second. This is the brains of the mechanism, the smeltery controller. Now, this is how you craft it. Just a basic 8 with nothing in the middle. It's going to make your controller. I'll go more into that in a little bit. This is the smeltery drain. To craft this, it's 6 bricks, and that's going to make your drain. Now, this is going to be a little interesting. This has an input and output, so you don't want to face this the wrong direction. That'd be bad. This big square side here is the input, so this is going to be facing, like, imagine I'm standing in the furnace looking out. This is what you want pointing in, and this is what you want pointing out. And when you're placing the block, like say this is the inside of the furnace, and I place this block down, this is the side that will always face you, the output. And this is where you're going to attach the seared faucet. The seared faucet is crafted very easily, kind of like you would a clay pot. 3 seared bricks in this pattern, and that's what it looks like. And then you're going to want to slap it on the output side of the smeltery drain. And I don't know if I looked at the recipe for this, but yeah, 6 bricks to make the drain, just to double check. Now, the next part is going to be the casting table. This is where you're going to be pouring out on top of this table to make your castings. To create this, it's going to be 7 blocks, and kind of like you're making pants for armor, and that's going to make your casting table. The casting basin holds 9 bars of liquid. I'll get more into that in a second. And to craft that, just flip it upside down, kind of like you're making a cauldron of 7 bricks. Those are all the pieces which make the forge, or the smeltery, however you want to call it. So here you see the tanks here. I have it full of lava, as you can see. Here's the controller, and when you right click on it, this is what it's going to look like. Now, I have 9 spots here and 9 spots here because I have the two levels. If you only had 1 level, you'd only see the 9. So every level you go up, you get 9 more spaces to smelt. Here you see the drains with the faucets, and you see I put the casting table right underneath it, and the casting basin right underneath another one. And here's some seared glass so we can see what's cooking out inside. And you can make this a 1-level variation. Right now this is a 2-story one. It'll still work. So even if you only have just a little bit of material, you'll still be able to pull everything out, no problem, if it's up in the second level like this. I like using this method just because it looks better than having it in the ground. But if you are low on resources, you can do a 1-story high, and this is what it will look. Well, you don't have to make it exactly like I have it right here, but this is how it would basically look. 9 blocks here, and then you don't even have to see, like I see here, you don't have to fill all these pieces in. So imagine this is grass or wood or whatever you would like to have in this area, or even if you want to have it just like this and have this ground level, however you want to design it. But you're going to notice that this is not lit up because we have an opening. So as soon as I plop down the seared brick, oops, sorry, let me shift click, this kicks on. That's when you know you're ready to rock and ready to cook. And you can see that I have the 9 spaces because it's only 1-story high. Now, let's get started with making metal castings. So in here is going to be the 2 recipes you're going to be using to make your blank casts. you can either use 3 pieces of aluminum ore with 1 copper ore, and that's going to yield 4 blank casts. But let's say you only need 1. You can use 2 gold bars to make a blank cast as well. Now, I'm going to cook up the 3 aluminum and 1 copper, and we're going to hop up here real quick. And this is what it looks like. Whenever you're putting anything inside the control, you'll see all of it right here inside the furnace. And it'll eventually melt down. The aluminum is going to melt down first, and you're going to see it pool here. And then a little bit later, the copper is going to melt, and it'll mix the color, and the color will change. Basically, we're making an alloy that's a combining of 2 different materials. See, there you go. The aluminum is melted, and we can always check in here. There's a little bar that's going to tell you when it's finished. As soon as that bar gets to the top, this will be melted, and you can see here how many bars you have inside. Now that's important. Let me show you. I'll explain that in just a second. As soon as this is done. Alright. Now if you were like me and you got to this point, you were excited, you were happy, you came over here to this is the drain with the faucet. You right click on the faucet there, and it's going to pour out. And you're like, oh, that's awesome. And you wait for it to cool like it just did, and you right click, and now you have a blank cast. So you probably happily ran over to the stencil table, slapped it down, and hit next pattern, and you kind of freaked out, probably like I did, that you can only make the bar pattern. And you're like, okay, how come I can't make all my parts? Like the swords and all that other goodness. Well, to do that, you would grab the part that you made out of wood or stone or cactus or netherrack, however. You grab that piece and you will slap it down here, and you'll pour it on top of it, and that's going to make your cast. So now we have a sword blade cast, and we can grab that, and you can do the same thing for all the pieces that you need. Now once you get all those pieces, here we go. Now, this is all the pieces we need to make our rapier. I've decided to use iron. Now you're going to notice it's going to say material cost. Now this says 1. That means that's how many bars it's going to cost you. So if you look at this recipe, it's the same for the pattern as it is for the cast. It's going to be 1 for the sword, and a half of a 1 for the crossbar, and half of a 1 for the tool rod. So that means I'm going to need 2 iron bars. Well, I have 2 iron bars in this furnace here, cook it already. So what I would do is I'm going to just pour all of it down. You wait for it to cool. Grab them out. If you select where the tool is, you'll grab the tool, but if you select the outside, you'll grab the pattern. So that's just a tip there. So you come to your tool station. Now I'm making a rapier, so I'm going to click that pattern. And then you're going to put them in the correct corresponding places. You're going to put the rod there, crossbar, and iron sword, and there's my rapier. And you get that cool sound effect. So now I have rapier, and all these tools have special little bonuses. Most of them do. I'm not going to go over all of that, but the rapier, when you right click, it's going to jump backwards a little bit because it's more of a thrust, parry, dodge, so I'm not going to go over all the weapon details. I'm sure now that you've figured out how to use this, you're going to be making all kinds of goodies. Now here, I'm going to do a brief overview of the basin. Now let's say you want to get rid of some liquid here and swap it out with another liquid. Let's say you're done making casts, but you still have some casting stuff in here. You can just pour all that and get rid of it, dump it, or you can save it. Like let's say I have iron in here and I want to use a different material. You pour it out. This holds 9 bars worth of liquid metal, and once it's filled, it's going to stop, and you wait a little bit, and boop, it's cold. You right click, now I have a block of iron. Also, another option to store materials would be the seared window. You would right click on that, and you're going to see it fill up, and once it's done, or once it gets to a certain point, you can just use a bucket, right click it, and grab it. Alright guys, well, that's a basic rundown of the tutorial, and these are all the liquids you can make. I kind of have them a little mixed up, so here's iron, gold, copper, tin, aluminum, cobalt, iridite. I'm going to assume that this is bronze. It's an alloy. An alloy means it's a mixture of two. I'm not going to go in detail on that because when you get that little guide, after you craft certain things, you'll get an updated book in your inventory, and it'll explain to you how to make, all the alloys. Here's I don't even know how to. I'm gonna butcher this name. It's Manulin. I butchered it. Whatever. This funky name one is an alloy also. Alumite is an alloy also. Obsidian, steel, glass. This is a decorative piece. You would use glass to fill up a basin, and you would grab it out, and it's basically clear. You can see through it. And liquid stone. This is liquid seared stone, so you can make seared stone. And here's liquid emerald. And another alloy is aluminum brass. And I'm just showing you those. Now go figure out which one all the buffs and pros and cons of each of these are, and make a buttload of awesome items. And thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial.